Hello class, I did my poetry project on Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was an American poet, novelist, and playwright whose African American themes made him a primary contributor to the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s. Some background information on Langston Hughes. His real name is James Mercer Langston Hughes, who was born February 1st, 1902. His birthplace was Joplin, Missouri, and his parents' names are James Hughes and Carrie Langston. Right after James was born, his parents got separated from each other, and his father went to go live in Mexico, and his mother moved all over the United States. So due to his mother moving a lot, James had to stay with his grandmother, and his grandmother shortly died in his teenage years, and he had to go live with his mother, and they ended up settling in Cleveland, Ohio. And in Cleveland is whenever he first started his interest in poetry. Two of Langston's primary influences was Carl Sandburg and Walt Whitman. Whenever Langston graduated from high school, he went to go live with his father for a year in Mexico. While in Mexico, he wrote The Negro Speaks of River, and it was published in the Crisis magazine in 1920. And then in 1921, Langston came back to the United States and went to Columbia University. Unfortunately, he did not finish out at Columbia University, but while he was there, he did get involved in the Harlem Renaissance. In 1925, Hughes's poem, The Weary Blues, won first prize in the Opportunity magazine. Langston wrote 11 plays in his lifetime. Hughes was also among the first to use jazz rhythms and dialect to depict the life of European blacks. On May 22, 1967, Langston Hughes died from complications of prostate cancer in New York. The quote that I liked by Langston Hughes was, "Folks, I'm telling you, birthing is hard and dying is mean, so get yourself a little lovin' in between." The reason I like this was because Langston gave you a different view on the way some people might look at the way they live life. The poem that I chose from Langston Hughes was called The Negro Mother. Children, I come back today to tell you a story of a long dark way that I had to climb, that I had to know, in order that the race might live and grow. Look at my face, dark as the night, yet shining like the sun with love's true light. I am the dark girl who crossed the Red Sea, carrying in my body the seed of the free. I am the woman who worked in the field, bringing the cotton and the corn to yield. I am the one who labored as a slave, beaten and mistreated for the work that I gave. Children sold away for me, I'm husband sold too. No safety, no love, no respect was I due. 300 years in the deepest South, but God put a song and a prayer in my mouth. God put a dream like still in my soul. Now through my children I'm reaching the goal. Now through my children, young and free, I realize the blessing due to me. I couldn't read then, I couldn't write. I had nothing back there in the night. Sometimes the valley was filled with tears, but I kept treading on through the lonely years. Sometimes the road was hot with the sun, but I had to keep on till my work was done. I had to keep on, no stopping for me. I was the seed of the coming free. I nourished a dream that nothing could smother, deep in my breast, the Negro mother. I had only hope then, but now through you, dark ones of today, my dreams must come true. All of you dark children in the world out there, remember my sweat, my pain, my despair. Remember my years, heavy with sorrow, and make of those years a torch for tomorrow. Make of my past a road to the light, out of the darkness, the ignorance, the night. Lift high my banner out of the dust, stand like free men supporting my trust. Believe in the right, let none push you back. Remember the whip and the slaver's track. Remember how the strong in struggle and strife still bar you the way and deny you life. But march ever forward, breaking down bars. Look ever upward at the sun and the stars. O my dark children, may my dreams and my prayers impel you forever up the great stairs. Look, for I will be with you till no other brother dare keeps down the children of the Negro mother. This poem is a lyrical poem, and it is about a Negro mother who talks about her struggle. And in the poem, you can tell there's passion and hardship. Hardship is played out whenever she talks about the cotton field and the cornfield and how she had to work, and she works really hard, but the only reward she gets is being beaten and mistreated. And then she goes on to talk about how her family was sold and she's all alone. A line from the poem is, "No safety, no love, no respect was I due." Then in the poem, passion plays a role when she talks about she's going through all this so that the future can be better than what it is now. she talks about how she got beaten, but in the end, it would make a difference in the future. And she says, sometimes the road was hot with the sun, but I had to keep going until my work was done. In the poem, you can tell that there is a shift from the negative impact to the positive impact. And the negative impact in the poem was whenever she talked about how she went through blood, sweat, and tears and how she was beaten. And then it shifted to a positive impact when she started talking about how she was going to make it, this was going to make a difference for the future. It was a torch for tomorrow and a road to the light. There was an oxymoron in this poem, and it was whenever she said, I couldn't read then, I couldn't write. I had nothing back there in the night. Another one was, sometimes the valleys were filled with tears, but I kept treading through the lonely years. There was also a metaphor, and metaphor played a big role in this poem. It kind of made the poem what it really was. And the metaphor in the poem was, remember my years heavy with sorrow, and make of those years a torch for tomorrow. I think the main message that the narrator is trying to get across is to the people of the future and to us today that you shouldn't give up and that you should remember what your ancestors went through, because they went through a lot in order to get to where we are at today. And that I think he's just trying to tell society that you have to remember the past in order to appreciate the future. And I wanted to say that this poem isn't just necessarily about African Americans. It could be about any race. As long as the narrator is trying to say, as long as you realize where you came from in the struggle that your ancestors had to go through, then you'll understand why it's so important to keep pushing for certain rights and keep pushing and moving forward and making a difference in the world so that tomorrow is better than yesterday. Okay, so it was really hard choosing a poem because Langston Hughes is an awesome poet and all of his poems are really nice, but the reason I chose The Negro Mother to go into detail about and discuss with the class was because this poem really kind of speaks to people and it gives people a wake-up call. It lets people know that, yeah, you had ancestors that went through a lot of stuff, so you shouldn't forget about that and you shouldn't take the way things are lightly. And if something isn't right, then you should try and make it right because that's what your ancestors did. They fought for certain things to make it right. And I just thought that this was a good poem to share with people, and I just hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you.